What's up, guys? Today I am interviewing Kenty. He is a fashion designer. Make sure to follow his brand's Instagram, Six Nails Clothing, and his personal Instagram, Andrew Kenty. Both will be linked in the description for future drops. How are you today, Kenty?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So I wanted to start off with a few lightning round of questions. Give me like quick answers, and I just to gauge, the tone. What's the first thing you notice about someone when you approach them?
Probably their hair.
Their hair? Okay, you know what? The third question was actually about hair, so that's a good
Was
thing.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Hair, and then, or I'd say how they dress.
How they dress. Okay, so specifically on how they dress, what's something specific that you notice first?
I mean, you can tell a lot about a person by like types of shirts that are like huge now is like where they go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. Band tees are huge. You can usually tell a lot by someone if they're wearing like a punk shirt or something like that, like a Nirvana shirt. And vintage tees are getting big too, so people like to show how which bands from the 90s they liked, stuff like that.
Second question is, what country have you always wanted to visit?
Yeah, I want to go to Italy really bad.
Yeah.
Italy looks beautiful. I've been to France a couple times, but Italy looks so pretty, and I think it'd be really nice.
Yeah, for sure. So my third question, the hair, was I have been growing out my hair since quarantine started, and it's just been one awkward phase after another. I've seen pictures of you where your hair looks amazing. What do you do? What do you use? What's your process there?
Oh, my hair used to not be really good. I have really bad dandruff, actually.
Okay.
So I found a dandruff shampoo that works, and then a really nice conditioner, which is Aussie something with hold on, I got a visitor here. It's Aussie with jojoba oil, and that usually does it. But I mean, I don't put anything in it. I just let it go air dry, and then it usually does this.
So it's just naturally that great, huh?
Yeah. I wish I didn't sound like a dick saying that.
No, you're good. Okay, so those are the lightning round questions. Now we'll get into the more long form ones. So, as a fashion designer, what do you do with your brand? What do you do?
Well, designing, there's a lot of different parts to it. Lots of it is coming up with stuff in your head that, you think would look good. But a lot of the process is like learning the programs to get your thoughts onto paper. Because you can have a really good idea, but if you have no way of expressing what you're thinking about, then you can't get it made, and you can't have someone get it made. So that's a big thing for me, is learning the programs and learning to sketch, because I'm not artistically, like on paper, I can't draw any of the things I think of. So I'm really learning all the programs right now. But the big thing is, if you can't draw, a lot of it is finding references. I got a sample for a hat made, and I didn't draw any of it, but what I sent to the manufacturer was super specific pictures of everything I wanted. So I sent like 3 or 4 pictures I found on Google of like, this is the exact brim I want. But lots of fashion designing is like really specific stuff like that that you wouldn't think of. Because like if you just want to make a hat, it's pretty simple to say, I want a hat with this patch on it, But you got to think about literally everything, because if you're not making the clothes personally, the people that are going to be making it, they need to know exactly what you want for every single piece.
Where do you hope that what you're doing now, what would you hope that it'll lead into in the future?
I want to be a designer or a creative director for a big fashion house. There are a couple designers I look up to that kind of started their own brand and then used that as a momentum swing into working for a bigger house, which is ideally what I want to happen. But right now I'm trying to go to school in Paris, so I really got to work on my portfolio. But once you get the portfolio together, and then I can get to school in Paris, I'd like to finish design school there, and all while I'm in school, be working on my own brand. I really want it to be more than clothes. At the end of the day, it really is just clothes, and it's what I'm passionate about, but it's clothes itself are not going to change the world. It's what you do with your influence and the the echo from what you do with clothes, and that kind of translates into other good things you can do. One of my favorite brands, Undercover, Jun Takahashi is the designer, and he says, they put it on a lot of the clothes, but they say, we make noise, not clothes. And that really resonates with me, because you really do want it to be more than just clothing.
So my next question actually was, who has inspired you in the past or currently?
It's gonna sound weird coming from me, but Michelle Mouton, and she was a Rally B race car driver. She's probably my hero. But she joined Rally B racing, which, if you don't know, is very dangerous form of rally racing in the 80s and 90s. But the cars were going so fast and through such tight spaces that the drivers said it was so insane that your brain literally didn't have time to react. But it was obviously a male-dominated sport, but Michelle Mouton was a French woman, and she not only participated but dominated. And I think just seeing someone that doesn't fit the mold of what you expect to be amazing in something, I think that's super inspiring, because it really shows that, no matter who you are or where you're from, if you put in the work, you can take over.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I wasn't expecting that answer. I was expecting
I was about to say, because you would think it would be a fashion answer. Yeah. There are countless men and women in fashion that inspire me, but Michelle Mouton is definitely my hero. And she's so badass. I would highly recommend looking at clips of her.
Yeah, no, for sure. So then I guess that leads me into my next question, which would be, who would you say is the most fashionable celebrity right now that isn't necessarily like someone who's, a celebrity for fashion, if that makes sense? So like an actor or an artist.
ASAP Nast is very stylish. I love him. ASAP Nast, I actually don't know any songs he's in, but that man can dress. But I think the people that really are so stylish is really the rappers. Lil Uzi is one of my favorite rappers, but his fashion is just insane. He really likes to wear stuff no one else is gonna wear, and most of the fit pics he posts, it doesn't look like anything anyone else would wear.
Yeah.
And Cardi, I like Cardi's style. You really can't deny that there's a lot of people trying to bite it.
Yeah, trying to copy him. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. I think if people want to bite it, go for it. But I think when people start making conscious decisions to at least imitate someone, that means they're at least on the right track of wanting to like continue their style.
Yeah.
But I really, as much as it's fun to like clown people for dressing like him, like it really is a good thing, because they're not going to dress like that forever. They're going to say, okay, I like this. Maybe I want to change this. Maybe I don't like these boots. But that's when you start realizing that you like the clothing you're wearing and how it makes you feel. Because like if it makes you feel like Cardi, you're going to feel awesome. And then you're going to chase that feeling,
Yeah. That's actually an interesting perspective, because for so long after a whole lot of dread dropped, there were, a lot of people dressing with the leather pants and like using his like words and everything.
I got
really
some tight little leather pants too, and I don't want to get accused of copying him, so I got to wait a little bit before I
wait for the hype to die down.
Another one I like Tyler the Creator. I would never dress like him, but I think his style is really cool. It's definitely something that's different, and I appreciate different, even if I wouldn't necessarily wear it.
Yeah, his style has also progressed, right? With his music and with how he has progressed too.
It definitely used to be like very, I won't say immature, but very much like a teenager. He dressed like a skater. He was always BMXing and skating, had Vans and stuff like that. Lots of loud prints, but now it's kind of more refined. He likes his cardigans and his sleeveless vests, stuff like that.
Yep.
He wears a lot of nice hats too, because I think that's gonna be a trend going forward. That's gonna get a lot of steam. Is because guys like wearing hats, they really do, but every single person that wears hats is the same thing. It's baseball caps.
Yeah.
And like you can get into really niche like pink brim caps and all that stuff, but he wears like berets and derbies and stuff like that. So I think the more people wear stuff like that, something different, the more people are going to get used to it, and then maybe try to branch off into that.
Yep. So my next question for you is, when did your passion for fashion start? I did not mean to make that rhyme.
Yeah. But the amount of times I put that on a resume, and I'm like, this sounds so corny.
Yeah, it does. I didn't realize until I said it. Actually, let me re-ask that question because it just sounded too corny. When did your passion for design start?
I would say it started with, getting really into the clothes and wearing them and how they made me feel, like I was saying earlier. You might not believe this, but I actually got into clothing really late. I mean, compared to my friends that are into fashion and all that stuff. I have friends that are really young and dressed better than me. But I went to college for my first semester in late 2016, and I came back to Austin afterwards. And that's when the day happened that started all of it for me. I'm gonna go get the jacket real quick.
Okay.
So my friend Eric, who is already into clothes, I was hanging out with him here, and he took me shopping. We were hanging out, and he wanted to go into like this resale store, and there was a jacket in there. It was a Palace Adidas jacket, and I think it was like $200, something like that. But I was just talking about how ridiculous that is, that the article of clothing could cost that much. But he was shopping around, and the longer we were in there, I just kept looking at it. I was like, it really is cool though. And he was like, you should buy it. And I was like, no, I can't. It's $200. Yeah. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. But we were in there for who knows how long. And I don't remember exactly how, but I kept looking at it, and I was like, okay, I really want it. And so
that's how the addiction starts, right?
he convinced me to buy it. And so This is it.
It is cool.
And it's cool, but I mean, it's not my style anymore. But it's literally the piece of clothing that got me into fashion. So I will never sell it.
Yeah.
But I haven't worn this in like 3 or 4 years. But it's funny because I was joking with him about how $200 is so absurd. But here we are 5 years later. If you look these jackets up now, I think the cheapest one for sale is like $1,000.
Wow. Holy shit.
So if I wanted to, I could make it come up off of it. But I mean, just buying the jacket, I was on such a high from spending that much on clothing anyway.
Yeah.
But for the next month, probably every single day, I would text my friend Eric and I say, could I wear these shoes with the jacket? Or
I know what you mean.
Could I wear these pants with the jacket? What about these pants? And I was sending pictures of literally everything I saw, and I was like, would this go with the jacket? Because it was my only piece of clothing I cared about. All I could think about was what to wear with it. So that was where my obsession with fashion started. But then the design aspect of it is a little bit more recent. Because this was like streetwear and skate kind of niche that I was getting into. And so I really like that. I bought a ton of Supreme. I bought a ton of Palace when I was first into fashion. But I mean, the more you get into anything specific, the more niche it gets and the more underground it gets. But then I started getting into high fashion, and the stuff they're doing. I mean, you can look up any high fashion runway, and you don't have to know anything about fashion to know that it's absurd, the stuff they're sending down the runway. Yeah. But at that point, when it's so high fashion, and I mean, like, you're wearing jackets made of like broken plates, like stitched together with chicken wire and stuff like that. Once it gets to that level, to me, it's art.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can argue any clothing is art, but once it gets to that level, I feel like it's more of a feeling and more of an emotion than it really is practical clothing. Because looking at it practically, I mean, you don't need a jacket made of broken plates, but to actually see it and to see someone's work and passion and all the stuff they've referenced, you can tell that it's a lot more than clothes, and it really is an artistic expression. But that's when I started getting into design. It was like, I have all these feelings, and I've thought of myself as creative my whole life, but I never really had a way to express it. Like, I'm not good at drawing, I'm not good at painting, but I mean, I've tried so many outlets. Like, I've tried skateboarding, stuff like that, but there's really no way for me to put out into the world how I felt. And I think designing clothes is a good way to express myself. And I think the more I grow and the more I learn and the more I take in the world, it's gonna take a more mature look at how I feel and how I'm growing and stuff like that.
Yep. Bro, this is crazy. That one answer touched on the next 4 questions I had.
Yo!
You gave a really...
I went stupid on that one.
You gave a really thorough single answer.
That's so funny.
I do still want you to go a little bit more in depth in the topics you touched on. So I guess the first one would be, can you explain high fashion to someone who might be like introductory or maybe doesn't know anything about fashion at all?
High fashion it's another name for haute couture, which is French, and it just literally means high fashion. But a long time ago, when France was deciding, I don't know why they actually did it specifically, but France categorizes brands that count as high fashion in France. And so if you can look it up, you can look up blah, blah, blah brand haute couture, and it'll tell you if it is. But it's essentially, their work is to such a high degree of scrutiny and such a high level that there's a governing body that decides this is good enough work to be considered high fashion. But it's the art of making clothes, but to such a degree and so high above the rest that, like I said, it really is closer to art, in my opinion, than it is to everyday clothing. And that's why I say it's art, because like it really does get rid of some of the practicality of it. Most of the garments are not meant to be worn every day. And some of the stuff you see in high fashion shows, like a lot of this stuff, like before I got into fashion, I would see pictures of high fashion stuff and I'd be like, that's so ridiculous. Some of the stuff they do is just runway only. So some of the stuff they send down the runway is literally only for the runway, and that's just a piece of art. It's just a project they wanted to do. It'll never be sold. No one is supposed to actually wear it. But I mean, just that inclusion of like a project someone wanted to do with no intent to be sold is showing that they really are just expressing themselves at that point, and it doesn't all need to be monetary.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you budget, your hobby or your passion with clothes being so expensive?
A lot of it is selling old clothes, and you wouldn't think it from how much like people will post pictures of their clothes and stuff like that. But I wouldn't necessarily call it a hobby, because it's not really doing anything besides buying clothes. But the whole world of fashion is an interest of mine. But I think the way I personally budget clothes is I'll buy a piece I like and then wear it until I don't like it and then decide to sell it. But the fashion cycle and the consumer cycle is so constant that I grow tired of stuff pretty quick. like recently I bought this last winter in like January, I bought a jacket. I bought a fleece jacket and it came with a rubber patch right here that I really don't like. And I almost took it off because I was like, that would look way better without the patch. But I mean, it already got hot here in Texas. I was like, I'll wait till winter to see if I still like it.
Yeah. Because
that's how constant the cycle of like what I like and what's cool and all that stuff is I consciously didn't make it look better because by the time it gets cold again, I probably won't like it. But I definitely sell a lot of clothes. Selling a lot of clothes will pay for new clothes.
That makes
and
sense.
then, but right now I'm trying to move, like I said. So right now it's a lot of downsizing. So I'm gonna be selling a lot more than I'm buying.
Yeah. What would you say your favorite article of clothing or accessory is, either all time or currently?
Let me do a top 3 of what
top
I
3.
own.
Okay, go for it.
So these jeans are Elite.
Mm-hmm.
They
you posted a picture of you in them today, I think, right? Earlier today?
Yeah, I actually did post a picture of them today. But these jeans at one time were my most prized possession because the hunt for them was probably about 2 years long.
Wow.
They were
ridiculous.
They were a Nordstrom exclusive collaboration with Elites, and I actually ended up working for Nordstrom. So what I did was you can check the availability of any product that Nordstrom has ever sold on the computer system in there, right?
Yeah.
So I looked those up and I found the product number, and then I went to the back to get like the order stats about those jeans. And I can't remember the exact number of total, but in a 30, there's 15 pairs.
Like ever?
Yeah.
Damn.
So there's only 15 pairs, and obviously they were sold out.
Yeah.
And but literally every single day I would check if anyone had returned a pair, or if they're ever gonna order more, and there weren't. And I was like, am I gonna have to gain weight or lose weight to see if I can get a 31 or a 29? But
that's dedication.
I finally found a pair on Grailed, and they were asking some ridiculous number. But I want to say it was like $500, but I got them down to like $415. And I was like, okay, I've been looking for this for like 14 months now. But it took so long to find them, I really didn't care. But those ones took so long to find, and I'm happy to have owned a pair. So that's number 3. This one's number 2, a little bit less of a story, but just as absurd. Yeah. These are Palace jeans that I bought from my friend Eric, who is the same one who peer pressured me into liking fashion. And the print on these is absurd, and I can't wear them anywhere without everyone asking me where I got them or what they are, and those are so cool. But I love wearing stuff like that like elicits a reaction.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this one's probably my favorite. This cactus plant fleece. But
you posted a picture with that one too today, this morning.
Yeah, I did post a picture of me. But it's like it's just like a little outer layer. It's not supposed to be a hoodie or anything like that. People are whining about how scratchy it felt on their skin, but like it's supposed to be an outer layer thing.
Yeah.
But the reviews for this are horrible because people don't know how to wear it. But yeah, if you look up any reviews on these, they're like, it's itchy, it's not comfortable, it's a shit product.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's amazing, and you're wearing it wrong.
Okay, so the last question I have for you is, what advice do you have for other creatives, whether they're into fashion and design or just in general?
Literally practice every day. I mean, it's corny to say, but literally practice makes perfect. And even if it doesn't feel like you're getting better every day, I'm practicing my sketching, and it's definitely getting better and it's improving. But literally anything you want to do and you want to be creative with, learn something new all the time. always be researching for more answers. Like most of the content I take in, either on YouTube or Twitter or Instagram, it's all centered around clothing. So even when you're not actively making something or acquiring a new skill or something like that, your brain is still in that mode. And I think once you find whatever your thing may be, you don't really enjoy leaving the mode where you're thinking about it. So like, even when I'm not actively making or designing clothes, I'm still thinking about it. And it just makes me happy to think about that and always have some sort of thought about clothing in my head. And I think if you surround yourself with people that think like that or think like you, and you're always taking something in, I think it'll be pretty easy to achieve what you want to achieve. And even if you don't, you're going to be happy doing what you love.
Yeah, that was a great answer. So once again, thank you to Kenty for doing this interview. Make sure to check out Six Nails Clothing on Instagram along with Andrew Kenty.
Oh, follow me on Twitter too.
Fake
Kenty.
At Fake Kenty, yes. All of them will be in the description below.